I'm Jenny-Jaymes and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers in a Truck time with Christian and Jenny, and we are in one of my favorite months of the year. We're in October. If you're seeing this drop for the first time, it is officially October 2nd. And how time flies when you're having fun. And
Exactly.
I think we're having fun. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll go ahead and wing it for a little while. Interesting story out of Florida, which, Florida is having a whole bunch of issues. But Florida bans instruction in the classrooms and sex ed classes over contraception and consent. Now, these are Republicans that are banning teaching consent and contraception, which is not a shock because the adult Republicans practice this all the time. They don't know what consent and contraception is, and therein lies the issue. I don't know, when you don't teach teenagers what contraception and consent is, and they say, well, we're going to leave it up to the parents.
Yeah.
I'm going, well, yeah, that's what we did before.
Mm-hmm.
This is what started the whole abortion, the whole women's rights movement, is when we don't teach it, because we can't universally. The whole point of public education is so that parents don't have to educate their own kids. Is that we've taken something that used to be a parental duty, and we've structured it so that we can have a more advanced society. Because I'm just going to say, especially in red counties, the education level is quite low.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want is Cletus trying to teach them mathematics or contraception when they've got 19 kids and counting, and they have to count when they have their shoes off.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need a society that's solely dependent on, if the church, which we know the churches aren't going to teach contraception, we know that they're not going to teach consent. We know that there's, what are you going to do in sex ed classes after you pull those two biggies out? What else is there to teach?
Yeah.
Because if you pull out contraception, you're also not going to probably talk about condoms. Because also, too, that may be too gay. And we know that we've banned all gay talk in Florida no matter what. We God forbid we stop spreading diseases. I don't get it. This isn't a religion thing. This is a stupid thing. This has nothing to do with somebody's faith, and if it does, it's stupid. This has no common sense whatsoever. I learned as much as I could learn in 10th grade health class about sex ed, because they taught it in Texas at the time when I was going to high school. It didn't teach everything. I would have liked to have learned a lot more. It probably would have served me in life, and it would have served a lot of others. And we need to know about this stuff. Like, humans aren't hardwired to know about consent. We're not hardwired to understand contraception. It's just stupid, and not all families either practice it or understand it. And it's a really dangerous thing, no matter what the kid's sexuality is, gay, straight, anything in between. This has nothing to do with sexuality. This has to do with, I don't know, common sense, inoculating a problem before it occurs. And I know they don't like inoculating people either because they're against vaccines too. But this is the problem, is that we've enabled this part of society, the Republicans, the conservatives, to get what they want and do stupid shit. I mean, this is stupid. You ban abortion, but you don't want to teach about contraception. So you don't want, you just want girls and women just to fucking fend for themselves. Like, you don't want them to know anything. You just want them to be baby factories. And I just like, good luck with that. I mean, you know, but we don't want to pay for the baby after it comes. Maternal health care is a joke in this country. Child care is a joke in this country. You know, so I don't get it. We want to eat the dinner, but at the restaurant, but we don't want to pay the bill. And therein lies our issue: is that Republicans are deadbeats, they're idiots, they're moochers, they're leeches on society. They want what they want, but they don't know what the fuck they want. They want pregnancy rates, the skyrocket, but they don't want to take care of the result. And that to me, that has nothing to do with conservatism. That's just raw bone stupid. That is to the point where you go, well, pick your struggle. Pick your fucking struggle, pick your path, and get there fast. Because, you know, in Florida, which is one of the most populated states, we're going to crank out a whole generation of fucking idiots. And I mean, Florida's already got a brain drain going on. The last thing we need to do is the swamp turds that are left in the state of Florida. We don't need them like going and yeah, this sounds like, some things when they sound like a bad idea, it's probably because they are a really bad idea. Like it sounds dumber than it may be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. In other news, because I could rant all day about that, but Pete Buttigieg slams Donald Trump for mocking McDonald's workers in just one sentence. You know, so classic Pete. He's getting out and he's just destroying people because Donald Trump was trying to make the case that working at McDonald's isn't hard work. And he also said that Kamala said she did work at McDonald's and she never did. And so he's trying to cast her as a liar, even though he's the one that's liar. And Pete's getting struck, you know, is trying to. It's one of these things that's such a weird thing to put in the news cycle. And he says, if we're really going to have to talk about McDonald's for a couple online news cycles, then let it be how and why Trump and the GOP oppose increasing the minimum wage. But make sure to cut taxes for the McDonald's corporation. And so it's one of these things where, again, they need to pick their struggle. Let's talk about real issues instead of whether Vice President Harris worked at a McDonald's or not. Honestly, don't care. If she did or she didn't, if she worked there one day and quit, or she worked there the whole time she was in high school and college, I don't really give two shits. I'm going to say that was a long time ago. And it was definitely before her working as a prosecutor and attorney general, then as a senator, and now vice president. I'm going to say it's been a minute. But interesting enough, it's funny that he the Trump dumpster doesn't want to talk about minimum wage and increasing that and helping people, especially Republicans. There's more Republicans working minimum wage jobs than there are Democrats. You're only working for $6 or $8 an hour if you're uneducated, and you know, we know how much Republicans love education. So red counties are consistently lower education levels than blue counties are. That's just proven fine. I mean, all you got to do is drive around Charlotte and then drive around a red county near us, and you can tell the difference. It's night and day. And Charlotte's decidedly blue, and a lot of the jobs, especially for young adults that don't have experience. And if they don't have experience, then the next thing you rely on is your education to get you in the door of the higher paid, more technical jobs. And there's more technical jobs in Charlotte than there is in, say, you know, Moose Knuckle, Arkansas. You know, like let's just be real. I mean, there's usually jobs at the Walmart, the McDonald's, and maybe a few other agricultural related jobs, but there isn't like to scoop up chicken poop in a chicken pen in Moose Knuckle, Arkansas. You don't really have to know much. I mean, it's not an insult. Somebody's got to do that job. I'm not insulting the people that do that job by far. It's a hard-working job. I actually have known a person that's had to do that kind of work. And but it's not going to pay a whole lot. You know, because really you're just doing a couple functions and that's about it. You don't own the chicken farm. You're one of the chicken farm employees. But a lot of Republicans work jobs like that. And because of their low education levels, and McDonald's is for the most part an entry level job, especially the front lines of McDonald's, you know, dropping fries into a fryer and doing things. It teaches you a skill set. It teaches you a lot of things. Restaurant work is very good work. It's very noble work. It's not there's no such thing as a skillless job. You got to have some skills to have a job, like it's whether it's counting or whatever. But we shouldn't. They're necessary jobs and they should be livable. And first and foremost, if McDonald's is not going to pay its fair share of taxes and it's going to get a free pass and all these extra profits, it should be paying for services, social services for Americans, then they need to pay Americans more money and then go out and buy their own services. Again, you get to pick a struggle. You don't get to have it both ways. Like, we have to start having these conversations and quit enabling, especially rich white Americans like, well, Elon Musk isn't really an American, but he bought his way into citizenship. But we got to stop letting these wealthy billionaires dictate our policies one way or the other, hook or crook. But we'll be right back. That was the end of our second segment with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching Coffee and Pandosi, but I wanted to talk about something personal. I have started a company with a business partner of mine called Java Notes Records. And we have an Instagram page, and in our biography, or as the cool kids call it, the bio, we have a link to our Indiegogo page. If you go onto our Instagram or our Facebook, we have a campaign going for Indiegogo, and it's helping us start this company that's going to help so many people between employment, charitable events, things of that nature. We're really doing this for our local community and really trying to help others and create a job for me too. But if you would go to our Instagram page for Java, like Java Notes Records, and I would appreciate the support. Thanks for listening.
All
Bye,
right,
y'all.
so Instagram and Facebook, Java Notes
Records.
Right, got it. Java Notes Records. All right, thank you.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy pod. But we're going to be kind of deciding that this fall. And I think it bears conversations that are in society. We're like going, we don't want corporations to tax more because they won't create as many jobs. I'm going, well, it's already a proven fact that if you tax them less, they're not going to create more jobs. They're just going, rich people don't give away their money unless they're forced to. Let's be realistic about that. Is just like automotive companies didn't put in more expensive safety features in the automobiles till they were forced to. Factories that cranked out all kinds of products in the United States does not have higher safety levels till we created OSHA, and we created the rules to make sure people's hands and arms weren't getting chopped off all the time. Okay, like we created the 5-day work. We created certain things. We created unions to protect human beings from rich dummies that they don't care if their stock price makes $2 more per share. They're happy. They don't care how they get there, because you can never satisfy the rich and by sacrificing the poor. It has never happened in human history. Well, we can go back to the Roman emperors, to any society. We've never been able to satisfy the rich. Their appetite is bottomless. That's how they got rich. Is their greed got them there. They stepped on other people on the way up, and they got there. And I know wealthy people are not going to like to hear that, but that's the truth. I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm not saying that your hustle wasn't warranted. But you can only work so many hours in a day, and it's not like Elon Musk worked more hours than anybody else, because all of us get the same amount of hours that we can work. It wasn't the amount that he worked; it's the fact that he was a trust fund baby. He started his adult life with a big sum of money to play with. Money that you and I will never spend. We could never spend what Elon started with at the poker table. And we have to have these conversations, because Elon Musk, all these people that created these big companies and own these big companies, they already had a leg up. And then what makes it worse is that we could tax all the billionaires in the United States right now 2% more than what they're paying right now. 2% more. No write-offs, no just rich tax, just call it wealth, a billionaire tax, 2% more. It would pay for every human service that we need. And if these guys can't live on 90%, 98% of their wealth, NASA, we got a problem. Because they're asking people to live on a budget on $8 an hour, and these guys are making $150,000 an hour. That they're begrudging, forcing companies to pay $15 an hour, and these guys are adding 4 zeros to that in their own bottom line. Some of these are making more than $150,000 an hour. Some are making $1 billion a day. I'm never going to make $1 billion in my lifetime. I'd have to live 75,000 years at my current rate to make $1 billion in my lifetime. Even if I really stop it up and I make a lot of money in the next 10 years, I'm probably not going to make $1 billion. 99.9% of Americans are not going to. But it's one of those things. We got to elect people that are responsible adults and see this, because they see it too. They're not stupid. This is why they vote. This is why they support Republican candidates that want to keep us polarized and stupid. It's not an us versus them. It's a fucking common sense thing. Like we just need to have these conversations and say, well, this is stupid. This is stupid to starve hundreds of millions of people just so that 780 Americans and wannabe Americans don't want to pay 2% more in taxes. That they can't find a way to budget on 98% of their money. Like that's the real statement. When you say it like that, it makes their argument for saying stupid. I'm like, you can't create jobs with 2% less money. Like 2% comes off the top of the pie. Like, find a way to cut 2% off a pumpkin pie right now. Go to a pumpkin pie and figure out what 100th of a slice looks like, and cut 200th of the slices out. It's going to be razor thin. And that's just the truth. They ask us to do without way more than 2% all the time. I mean, these tariffs that Trump is suggesting for, let's say, even raises somebody's budget $2,000 a year, and you make $30,000 a year. $2,000 a year for a $30,000 a year income is way more than 2%. Way more than 2%. And people that make $30,000 a year, $2,000 is everything. Sometimes usually $200 is everything. We don't need to raise a dime of tariffs and basically sales taxes onto poor Americans without billionaires paying their fair share. That the free ride needs to be over. We got to stop giving people free passes, and we got to stop enabling the stupidest arguments in the world from happening. It's in a really funny story. Log cabin Republicans are in hot water. Melania Trump demanded $250,000 to speak to gay Republicans, but nobody can find out. I guess they didn't do receipts. Like, they didn't even scratch them on a bar napkin. She didn't disclose who paid her the $250,000 to speak to the gay Republicans. But somehow that got lost. Everybody got amnesia. They went, oh, I don't know where I put my checkbook. When we scratched that check, everybody's pretending they don't have no fucking idea who paid Melania $237,000 and to speak to gay Republicans. Like, it's it's the Virginia Center for the Chief Ethics Council and the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics told CNN, it seems pretty self-serving. From my own general observation, I'm not used to seeing that. Because what it's raising is some ethical breaches by the First Lady demanding a speaking fee, but not having to account for where the money came from, who paid it. And the reason why it's necessary to know who paid it, for people that don't understand why that would be, no matter who she spoke to, whether it's gay Republicans or straight Republicans or straight-ish Republicans here lately, speaking of Mark Robinson, is we kind of need to know who the First Lady is taking money from. That's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a national security thing, because if they can get to her, they can get to the former president. The former president has classified knowledge. Well, maybe not too much, because his brain seems to be fading away real fast. But theoretically, you don't want any former First Lady getting paid by some nebulous force that we don't even know who's scratching the check. Because it could just as easily be Russians, it could be Chinese, it could be Saudis, it could be any group or country or whatever scratching these checks, which most likely is very nefarious, if you're not willing to say who paid you, there's an issue. And it's just like when Clarence Thomas, when the Supreme Court justices started having large deposits and fancy trips being paid for, he had basically a white Republican sugar daddy wheeling and dealing with him and paid for his kids' education and we kind of need to know this.
That's bizarre.
It's gone on for like 20, 30 years. I mean, how long has Clarence Thomas been, Supreme Court? He was a Papa Bush appointee.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Clarence Thomas has been on the court for a long time. And for a long time, he's had this sugar daddy. And now it looks like Melania Trump has some kind of sugar daddy. We just want to know who's providing the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It's $237,000 to do one speaking engagement to the log cabin Republicans, which is an oxymoron anyway. Republicans that like to punch themselves in the face, basically. We want to know where that $237,000 came from. It's a reasonable request. And she's not one to provide that. Or
that's also extremely, extremely rare for someone who's running for office or their family to get paid to speak. Usually they show up because they want to promote their campaign. You only get paid after you leave office because then it becomes an income. It's a source of income, But when you're running for office, it would be like you and me, the Democratic women of, North Carolina saying, hey, we'd like for you to come and speak to our group. And you go, okay, I'm going to charge you $10,000, $10,000 for a speaking fee. That is not something that happens.
Correct.
That is, it is very bizarre.
Yeah. And then the first lady on top of that, I'm not knocking Melania. Her modeling and porn career was quite lucrative, but we definitely don't it's a very dangerous trend because the Republicans are acting like, well, why is everybody upset about this? And we're up against our second break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
Hey, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. And Christian and I just blathering on about craziness in the world today. Y'all be safe out there. There is a lot of Republicans on the road.
That's right.
Have a good week out there.
Bye.
And we are back. But the reason why it's important, and I know Republicans are going to struggle with this, and a few Republican listeners are probably going to struggle with this, is that ethics kind of matter. Because you can't scream about Joe Biden's son doing whatever,
yeah,
and scream about ethics all the time, and call Joe Biden part of the Joe Biden crime family and all this kind of stuff. And they did the same thing with Hillary, and it's just been the same old. And then you not go by any kind of code of ethics yourself. Again, you got to pick a struggle. Which one do you want? Do you want ethics? You don't want ethics? Do you want tons of babies? Or, but you do. But you got to pay for them. Our society's got to pay for them. But you can't. There's no free rides. These Republicans are moochers. They're moochers on society. They're billionaire buddies, don't want to pay taxes. they don't we don't want to pay for the babies, but we want tons of babies. Republicans are the deadbeats of our country. They want free rides, and they should just say it. We should just be honest. Republicans are the deadbeats of America. That's why they're so freaking weird. Is that it doesn't make sense what they say until you view them in the light they are. They are the leeches and deadbeats of our society. They don't want to pay for anything, but they want to have the night out. They want the dinner and the dancing and the show, but they want to pay for it. Which, in some industries, when we got clients that toured the resorts and wanted their free gifts, we call them moochers. They're moochers. They have a moocher mentality. And, they want something for nothing. And as we know in life, nothing ever comes for free. And somebody has to pay. And it's part of living in a society is we have to have some accountability with each other, or we're going to have chaos. Speaking of chaos, Donald Trump endorsed a book by an activist, and it's talking about this Corey DeAngelis, the gay porn star.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump is caught on video endorsing the book, and he blamed this Corey DeAngelis, tanked schools of indoctrinating children on gay agendas. And this guy made films such as Jerk Off Race. It was gay porn. This guy was a gay adult porn star. And here's the best part. Not only did he work for an organization called American Federation for Children, but they now put him on paternity leave.
Oh my.
For right now. The organization doesn't know what to say, because his stage name was Seth Rose, and he's performed on a video website called Gay Hoopla for people keeping track of home. It goes on and on and on. I won't read all the titles, even though they're pretty funny. But he wrote a book about, because he talked about educational choice, and he's one of the privatization scammers, and he's pissed off. He said the radical left's 2024 weekly lesson plan is critical race theory, drag queen story hour, mandatory pronoun recognition, boys participating in girl sports, and pro-Hamas protest hour. Is like he wrote a fake lesson plan for the 5 days a week. And of course, he's spouting all these theories and these lines.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude's living a lie himself, railing against the gay agenda, while his previous scam was probably more legitimate work than what he's doing now, which is being a gay porn adult star. Like he was on adult movies. At least he provided some kind of service and entertainment. Because what he's doing now isn't entertaining at all. I mean, he's hurting people, and he's lying about the education system. And nobody would have a classroom agenda like that. The stuff that I just read off was ridiculous. Nobody's teaching pro-Hamas protesting techniques to third graders.
Is it not bizarre, Jenny, how often, and we talk about this so many times, how often these radical, he uses the radical left, term or whatever, but, the evangelical, MAGA, Moms for Liberty people, all those extreme kind of individuals, it's just surprising to me how easy they can take up positions without being vetted. It's so easy for them to do it in that side of the world or that they operate in, where where they would hire someone like this group would hire someone like this just on the nonsense they spout without going, okay, now this is, before we do this, tell us what you've done in the past. You know what I mean? I mean,
Well, I've got
I
an
don't know
answer
anyone
for
who
that.
can be, yeah, okay,
I've got an answer for that.
okay.
So you're an educated man, Christian. You went to college and you graduated college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you apply for a job like to a foundation like this where you would have to make up lies for a living?
No, I would not. Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But these people do. This is what they sign up
Yeah.
for.
Sure.
They're dumb enough and unethical enough. These foundations are.
Sure.
They're encouraging this. They're providing the materials to make up these lies. These think tanks dream up these lies.
Sure.
But you'd have to be pretty dumb to take that job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A rational adult like you and I, and many others, especially progressives and liberals, usually are educated, but we also have a lick of common sense.
Sure.
So they kind of go hand in hand. It doesn't mean progressives don't do adult films.
Sure.
It's that we know that we've done adult films in the past, and we know we probably shouldn't take specific jobs that are working with foundations that are trying to work with children, because we know we have the porno past. And
sure.
We have at least a lick of sense, like all the progressive transgender adult actresses I know aren't, their next job isn't going to some kind of family church scam.
Sure.
That some progressive dreamed up, because we don't typically have that on our side. It's only these scam artists that dream up the Trump universities, these family foundations. These are all scams. They're all hucksters. MTG's a huckster. She has no. You can't. What would be the qualification for being a dumbass getting up and lying? What is the vetting purpose? Like, oh, you're a good liar? Well, of course you don't have any ethics. You know, like they got to pick dregs of society. That have a checkered past, because they're the only ones that are desperate enough to take a job like this.
Sure. Yeah. But they have to. But I guess the surprising part for me, well, I mean, it's not really surprising as I say this out loud, but the surprising part for me is they know eventually every single group, whether it's a church, whether it's a anything connected to this kind of craziness, it always comes out. It always comes out. Something from Mark Robinson will always come out. Something from these people who are like that. Well, remember our Matthew Madison Cawthorn? Something always comes out with these kind of people. So they must. It's like their bet is, I'm going to take advantage of it until it comes out. Because by the time it comes out, then I can always just go, well, I found Jesus and I can clear it. You know what I mean? It's like this mentality. Yeah.
It's literally the life cycle of a conservative wacko's career. They give themselves the enablement of the get out of jail free card, which is not exactly what Jesus now says. I get to forgive you and give grace, is you don't get to be a dumbass all this time, and then you don't. He didn't say you don't get accountability on this part of heaven. He says, I'll see you up in heaven. I'll still forgive you for that, but you need to be accountable on earth. That's the part of Christianity these so-called Christians are not really observing. They want to hold everybody else accountable when they're the dumbest. They're the dumbest people in the room. If you put 50 Republicans and 50 Democrats in the same room, the dumbest 50 people in the room are going to be the Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard it on the stage a few weeks ago, when Harris and Dumpster were on the stage together. There's no contest who's dumber. They have to rely on lies and stuff like that because their entire agenda is stupid. Yeah. You would have to lie your way into office. These people, to get their agenda passed, which is really stupid, whether it's fighting against contraceptions, fighting against books, banning books. Like, you have to be a fucking idiot to ban books.
Yeah.
And you have to be a fucking idiot to believe it. So all these breathing voters are going,
yeah,
we need to ban books.
That's right.
In the library. So what's the library going to function as after we ban all the books? Genius. I mean, we get to a certain point where you just go, what's the point of sex education class if we're not going to teach about contraception and consent? Two cornerstones of sex. They're kind of biggies. They're keepers.
And you also, what they're doing, Jenny, what they're doing is, and this is one of the things that I hope older individuals learn, or at least members of these people's families who are older.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is, I'm so much smarter than you. All your life experiences, all of the education that you received, I'm so much smarter that I know how to do it better than all of your life experiences.
Right.
So basically they're saying, of the 2,000 years that we have developed, or I'm exaggerating, the 2,000 years that we've developed public education or sex education, there have been all these professionals that have, the reason that these things are being done is because the society and the community has made a decision. It benefits us to have public education, or it benefits us to have sex education in schools, because this is what works best. And we're doing this because of our life experiences. What they're saying is, I'm so much smarter than all of you that I've decided that that's the wrong way to do it. Yeah. And I'm going to make the decision in my little 40 years on Earth, the medium age of a Gen Xer, 50 years on Earth, that all of your 80 and 90 years of experience, I'm so much smarter than you. And that it's just amazing arrogance that they have, that they believe that they have somehow woke up overnight, and that those people who are professionals who do this for a living, nope, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm smarter. And that is the craziness of all of this.
Well, the delicious irony at the very, very end of all this is, again, they're always the dumbest person in the room.
Exactly.
When you see these jackasses going to school board meetings trying to get rid of books, school library, you kind of go, so you're advocating to get rid of books in the school libraries and classrooms. I mean, I'm hearing this. This is where the school board, no matter whether Republican, Democrat, whatever they are, need to look at each other and go, we need to get this idiot out of the meeting. Because the moment you have people advocating to remove books from schools, that should have been a hard step.
Yeah.
But look, we appreciate your opinion, but we don't need it.
And what would have been really delicious? I know that it would never happen. What would have been really delicious is we have had school board members, when these crazy, kooky Moms for Liberty people go up and they read the passages of a book, because that's really what they do. They'll scan all these books looking for one paragraph where they can make their point. And it would be great if someone from the school board, I'm so glad I know you. I went to school with you. And that's the first time you've ever done a book report. If anything has come from this, at least we got you to read books.
Yes, congratulations. You read your first book.
Exactly.
Either that or they had somebody read it to them and they memorized it.
Yeah,
they got a little highlighter out.
Highlighter. That is funny.
Because these chuckle fucks haven't cracked.
They're not.
Your point is
they don't read books.
You know that MTG, when they put on their little reading glasses, they're probably not even reading glasses. They probably don't even have any magnification. They put on the reading glasses to look smarter than they are.
Sure.
Because literally Lauren Bobo Bobert, she literally was a former porn star too.
Yeah.
And sex worker. And when she tries to put on glasses and look like an intellectual, and she tries to use this, change her voice a little bit to where she sounds very dignified. And MTV does the same thing because she tries not to look like she came straight out of the trailer.
Yeah.
These people are such clowns, and it's such a clown act. And the people around them go, God, they're just embarrassing. They're just dumber than shit. Oh, as we close out here, big news flash, almost all of Mark Robinson's campaign staff, the 4 major heads of his campaign staff, quit this week. And I not a shot.
Yeah.
And it's not because he has a sweet tooth for transgender adult films. It's really just because I don't know.
Lose. He's gonna lose.
Lose. This ship is sinking.
And they're jumping ship, exactly.
So can you imagine if you were one of his campaign managers and you're in a conversation with somebody, go, oh yeah, what do you do for a living? And I go, a campaign manager. And I go, oh, for who?
Yeah.
Because that's what people, polite society, we want to know about, what's going on in your life. And
exactly.
You're going, Mark Robinson.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like you don't want to say it. Can you imagine?
It's almost like the difference between saying, like, you and I going out to a place and there's a group of people that are dancers. And we're like, oh, well, who do you dance for? And one group says Lady Gaga. And I go, oh, well, that's great. The other group says Janet Jackson. Well, now today, Janet Jackson. And then you go, oh, all right. Because all the chaos she's trying to start. So it is a difference. You're right. Yeah. Are them saying, who do you dance for? Kid Rock. Oh, all right. I mean, it is a difference.
No, yeah. And there's probably some Republicans that'd be good to work for. I can't think of who right now, but but
exactly.
I'm pretty sure that Mark Robinson's at the bottom of the food chain.
That's true.
He's kind of done.
That doesn't go well on your resume.
Yeah, they Republicans are going, well, I guess we'll have to figure this out between now and 2028. But it's kind of funny. It's rough when Republican campaign people are quitting on you.
Yes, yeah, because they'll work with anyone. So
Trump's proof of that. I mean, this is his third presidential campaign, and somehow he still keeps finding idiots. They'll keep doing this.
That's right.
We are at the end of our show, and we are going to dance on out, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo. Go.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to Two Queers in a Truck, and we are in October now. But again, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it over and over again. Make sure you get registered to vote. And if you are registered, there's been a lot of states that have purged records. Make sure you're still registered. It's not too late. In most states, you can still register to vote, sometimes all the way up to the day of election. But get out there, make a plan, go onto the Board of Elections website, check it out, make sure you can do it, and then, I don't know, go out and vote. Just be good this year. If you haven't voted before, there's no shame in doing it. It doesn't cost anything, and it's the right thing to do. We'll see y'all next week. Bye, babe.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.